There were a few directors from the Sexploitation scene in the 60s who were eventually recognized as auteurs who produced work that was worthy of critical appreciation and study. I've talked about a few of them on the channel, Russ Meyer and Radley Metzger, and today I want to talk about another great director who made some sleaze and also made his mark on film history, Joseph W. Sarno. Welcome to Exploitation Reviews, and me, Rob, and today I'm taking a look at Flesh and Lace from 1965. This is a lesser-known Sarno film. Seriously, if you look on IMDb, fewer than 100 people have rated this thing, and on Letterboxd, I think fewer than 70 have marked it as watched. Quite the rarity I've got for you today. So let's meet the girls. Our story follows Beverly and her roommate Joan. They both work at a bar, and their job is to flirt with men in order to get them to stay at the bar longer and buy more drinks. Kind of a weird idea for a business. It's kind of like a strip club, but instead of a private dance, you get a private conversation. Don't think I would go there. But, whatever floats your boat. Anyway, the dark-haired one, Joan, that's Judy Young, and if she looks familiar to you, you might be remembering her from the third Olga film, Olga's House of Shame. I should cover that one at some point. One of the actresses in it is the mother of a number of rather famous Hollywood stars. And she's smoking hot. And the blonde, Bev, is Heather Hull. She only has one other minor film credit, which isn't the least bit surprising because she has the acting ability of a discarded pair of socks. Also at the club are two dancers. They remove more and more clothing as the movie goes on, and one of them is played by June Roberts. You can spot her in the background of quite a few of these New York sexploitation films from the 60s. I think her only lead role was in the Doris Wishman film, My Brother's Wife, but I could be wrong about that. In fact, she was last on this channel when I covered Michael Finlay's Ruffy, Take Me Naked. Anyway, Bev the blonde isn't very good at her job, and the bar owner is going to fire her until June convinces him to give her another week. And then June gives Bev some advice. We learn that Bev feels uncomfortable flirting with men, which begs the question, why did she want this job at all? If you aren't going to be comfortable in the job, don't apply. I mean, you don't see me trying to work as a person listening to people eat. But Bev takes the advice and tries to be a better flirt, and when she leads one man on, she herself starts to feel a little funny. Not giggle funny, but more like sitting in a puddle funny. Splish! Things really heat up when Joan's gambling-addicted boyfriend shows up and wants to move back in. Joan at first tells him to hit the road, but he has a way with women. In fact, his ways further awaken Beverly's funny feelings. This, of course, does not make Joan very happy, so she kicks Bev out, and Bev moves into the basement of a toy store. The proprietor there had taken an interest in her. The gambler boyfriend gets into debt and is willing to do terrible things to get away from the gangsters who want that money, but that's enough out of me as far as plot goes. Let's talk some highlights. If you watch a lot of these New York sexploitation films from the 60s, you'll see that they have a lot in common. Most of them take place in apartments. A lot of the same actors show up again and again and again. Darlene Bennett and Gigi Darlene and Uta Erickson. You start to recognize a lot of faces. A lot of these films end with a kind of ham-fisted morality tale ending, and a lot of these films, for most people, kind of run together and start to get a little boring. Kind of the way I feel about superhero movies today. But I don't feel that way about these movies because I really like the vibe of them. I like seeing the same people over and over. It feels like I'm getting to know the scene, and it is, or at least was, a very cool scene. And it's interesting to see what these directors do with the same people and similar locations and shoestring budgets. They sometimes manage to do surprising and impressive things. This film, though, well, it does have that vibe, which I like, but like a teaser bar girl getting in touch with her naughty side, it has some shortcomings. Well, the character at the center of this movie's plot machinations is Beverly, and Beverly can't act at all. Seriously, she has got the emotional range of a dial tone. I mean, watch this tense scene.
You don't have to take them up there. Just make them think you will.
See, I told you. The other big problem with this film is the surprising lack of skin. I mean, for a movie about a woman who gets in touch with her inner nympho, you would expect a lot more than you get here. I mean, there is some. I mean, the dancers, like I mentioned before, and Bev herself, a little bit, but not as much as we would expect. And I know directors had to be careful with the censors in the mid-60s, but there were movies out at the same time as this that had a lot more. Rent-A-Girl, for example, also came out in 1965, and that one's got a lot more going on than this one. So, should you watch this lesser Sarno film? Well, it depends. I mean, if you're like me and you like the vibe of these New York Sexploitation films from the 60s and you've already seen a handful of them and you want to see more, then yeah, sure, okay. I mean, it's not the worst one, but it's also far from the best.
Thanks. Just put them anywhere. I'll take care of them later.
Baby girl, emotions. You know, those things your dad tried to beat out of your brother? Yeah, you need those to be an actor.